Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, 3 groundbreaking video strategies guaranteed to sell cars. My name is Eliana Raggio, and I'll be your moderator today. And today's webinar is being presented by Dealeron. And for anyone who isn't familiar with Dealeron, well, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency, best known for our search engine optimization, best-in-class customer service, and our award-winning websites. Recently at NADA, Dealeron received the Best in Show Award for website design from Dealer Marketing Magazine. Dealeron was named the top-rated website provider by Driving Sales in 2012 and 2013, and it's official, Dealeron customers have been winners of the Digital Dealer Website Excellence Awards, highly coveted overall winner 4 times in a row. Dealeron is the only website company that can claim that. Dealeron is so committed to lead conversion, optimization, and customer service that we're the only company in the industry to offer a money-back lead guarantee program. So does your website company guarantee you leads? Well, then maybe you should check us out at dealeron.com. And we have a great show in store for you today. We're very pleased to have Phil Sura as our presenter today. Phil Sura started the automotive division of UnityWorks Media, a web video company supporting over 1,500 dealers and recognized as a video pioneer in the automotive space. Phil previously worked as a GM for one of the top 100 Ford dealerships and spent 13 years with Pat Ryan and Associates. Spending the last 10 years developing cutting-edge video strategies for dealers across the country, Phil has earned the nickname Mr. Video from his peers. Furthermore, his Best of the Best panel discussions at the last 8 Digital Dealer conferences have garnered him extraordinary praise and allowed the audience to hear from the top retail internet producers in the nation. Phil has also participated in regional training sessions across the country, sponsored by AutoTrader, CarSoup, and Auto Uplink, and he's presented webinars for Digital Dealer and Automotive News. He's a regular contributor to Digital Dealer Magazine, and he can be reached at phil@unityworksmedia.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, don't worry, we're going to respond by email later today. And don't forget, a link to download a copy of today's webinar recording is also going to be emailed to you later today for your reference. Please feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. And guess what? Our good friends at UnityWorks Media are giving away a fantastic prize today on the webinar. One of you lucky attendees is going to be winning a great prize for your dealership. What is it? It's a model video landing page for 6 months and a dealership video. And this prize package is valued at $1,150. All you have to do is stay tuned for details after Phil's presentation, and you could be walking away with this awesome prize today. Also, at the conclusion of the webinar, you're going to receive a short survey. Please fill it out because we're always looking for great feedback from our audience. And today we're going to randomly select a couple of people from all those completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. So let's get started. Let's learn the top 3 groundbreaking video strategies guaranteed to sell cars. Mr. Video. Hello, Phil. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and thank you so much for the opportunity to participate today.
Are you kidding? The honor is all ours. We're so glad you could come here because above all else, as I'm sure all the people on the webinar today know, video is hot. There are few things in the auto industry today that are hotter than video. Actually, I don't know if there is anything hotter than video right now, but video is so hot, and we try and get as many of these great webinar topics as possible, but video is one of those things I just do not do enough webinars on. So I'm so glad you're here to talk to us today about video and how it can really change a dealership's sales and of course, affect their bottom line. Why don't you tell us today the kinds of things we're going to be learning about?
Eliana, we're going to focus on 3 key areas. Video SEM, which is video pre-roll. And you'll see once we get into that, into those specific slides, why we're making the reference video SEM. We'll also talk about the impact that video has on a website and how that can absolutely drive time on site, which leads to higher conversion. And then the last component is video SEO.
I don't think that there's anything hotter than video SEO either. And of course, after that, we're going to do some question and answers from the audience, and that's always a great way to really get a different perspective from people who have specific things going on at their dealership and want to know how they can make the most of this whole video thing that's going on. Should we get started?
Absolutely.
Well, let's get started. Audience, we're going to start off with a few poll questions for you because Phil wants to know a little bit more about you before he starts talking to you about video. So I'm going to launch this first poll question. If you could please look at your screen now and let's vote on this. We want to know, do you currently have a video strategy that goes beyond VIN-specific video walkarounds? So we're not talking about walkarounds. We want to know if you have something beyond that. So please select one of the following answers. Yes, we also have additional video content. No, we only do VIN-specific video walkarounds right now. Or no, we aren't even doing VIN-specific video walkarounds. So we want to know. Please put in your votes, and once we get a majority of the votes in, we're going to close the poll and share the results with you, and then we'll go on to our next poll question. These poll questions are used because, we always appreciate the information that we get from you, our valued audience, and this is really going to help Phil out, isn't it, Phil?
Absolutely.
We want to know. We want to know.
Give us insight.
Yes, give us some extra insights in what's going on with your dealership. And we do have a majority of the votes in, and I want to thank everyone for participating in these poll questions. We really, really appreciate it. So we're going to close this poll and share the results. I have some pretty interesting results for you, Phil. I hope you're ready for this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
So 39% of today's audience said yes, they also have additional video content. That's pretty good, right? 39%.
That's very strong. That's very impressive.
Very, very good. 32% of today's audience said no, they only do VIN-specific video walkarounds right now. And 29% said they're not even doing VIN-specific video walkarounds. So that's a large component of today's audience that are really going to get a lot of help with today's webinar topic. Right, Phil?
Yeah. It's interesting. Pretty much a third, a third, a third.
Yeah, it is. It is. Okay, so we're going to start with our next poll question. If you're ready, everyone, here we go. Next poll question is up, and we want to know, are you currently leveraging a video pre-roll strategy? Now, I got news for you. Before I even met Phil, I don't even know what video pre-roll is. So I'm pretty excited to find out more about this. But please select one of the following answers. Yes, and the results are great so far. Yes, but we're unsure what we're doing or if you're doing it right. Not yet, but we've heard really good things about video pre-roll, and you're interested. No, you're not leveraging video pre-roll. And the last answer is, what the heck is video pre-roll? So once we get a majority of the votes, we are going to close this poll and share the results. And Phil, I know you can't see the votes as they're coming in like I can.
Right.
But I just want to know, what do you think is going to be the winner on this one? What do you think today's audience?
I think since it's a fairly new concept, but we're getting incredible results, I believe that the highest percentage is going to be in the third category.
The not yet, but we've heard good things about it?
Exactly. And I'm really interested to see how many people fall into the first category.
Okay. You know what? We're going to find out right now. I'm going to close this poll, share the results,
right.
And audience, thank you again so much for your votes. They really do make a difference to us. So I want you to know, Phil, this may very well be the only thing that you are wrong about today. But
okay.
Actually, 52% of today's audience said, what the heck is video pre-roll? Thank you so much, audience. I thought it was just me. But it's not. I'm not alone. I really appreciate it. But so you know, the runner-up to that was 20% of today's audience said not yet, but they have heard good things about video pre-roll. So looking forward to that. 13% of today's audience said no, they are not currently leveraging a video pre-roll strategy. Only 9% said yes, but we're unsure what we're doing or if we're doing it right. And 7% of today's audience said yes, and the results are great so far. So we do have a small percentage of today's audience that are really, really ahead of the pack. But we're going to see if we can...
Well, we've got some really exciting content for the 52%.
Yes,
It
yes.
said, what is video pre-roll?
What is
Great.
video pre-roll? Thank you so much, audience, for not leaving me high and dry on this one. Okay, last poll question before we get started is, and this is pretty important too, we want to know, what is your level of expertise with regards to video? So please select one of the following answers. You know, before Phil starts, he wants to know how really, you know, how good are you with video? So are you another Steven Spielberg? We want to know. Are you better than average? Or maybe you're middle of the road, but you're always looking to learn more? Are you a novice, beginner? Are you a novice? Or you need help, you can barely turn on your computer? Whatever the answer is, we want to know. Phil, any ideas?
My guess is we're going to have a lot of novices.
Yeah?
Maybe a lower percentage of Spielbergs. But it'll be interesting to see how many Spielbergs we have out there.
I'm curious as well. And the votes are coming in really fast. Audience, thank you so much. This is the last poll question we have today. We put them all up at the front this time. Wanted to see how that was going to go over. And almost everyone has been voting. We really appreciate the votes. So let's close this poll and let's share the results. Well, just so you know, only 9% of today's audience claims to be another Steven Spielberg. So we're very, very pleased to have some Steven Spielbergs here today. 16% said that they're better than average. The winner, the majority, 44% of today's audience, said that they're middle of the road, but they're always looking to learn more. We have about a quarter of the audience, 24%, said that they're novices, beginners. And a solid 7% says that they need help, they can barely turn on their computer. I feel for you. I let my husband do all of the videotaping because, quite frankly, there's just too many buttons on the video camera. So, Phil, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, let's get this party started. Thank you, everyone, so much for your votes. And, Phil, take it away. Tell us all about video pre-roll and all that happy stuff.
Absolutely. And, again, thank you so much for the opportunity. And let's go back in time, let's say 5 to 10 years, when it was a lot easier for a dealer or general manager to get their message out to the people that were looking for cars. As a matter of fact, this is a good slide because, let's say 10 years ago, before the digital focus, most of the advertising was TV, radio, or newsprint geared at one thing, getting the customer into the dealership to test drive a car. It was very linear. And the average consumer, let's say between 5 and 7 years ago, would visit about 5 dealerships within a fairly small radius. Well, things have changed dramatically. And I borrowed this slide from our friends at Google. Peter Lito shared this at a couple sessions that I saw, and I just loved it because I thought it really captured what's going on today. The average prospect is no longer visiting 4, 5, or 6 dealerships. Today they're visiting 1.2 dealerships on average. So that means after this selection, or after all of the searches with AutoTrader, with Kelley Blue Book, going to, let's say, 5 dealer websites, still being influenced through traditional advertising, TV, etc., they're making a decision on 1 or 2 stores only, and they'll also drive for a further distance based on the data that's out there. They'll drive 100 miles to go to that dealership. And it's no longer a linear type of process. It's no longer as easy as what it used to be because of all of the available inventory online. So what types of problems are the retailers experiencing because of this maze of information? Well, here's how we summarize it. Number one, just gaining the attention of the prospect through all of this information. And then separating your website from the 18 other sources that the prospect is visiting. Now, it's not just 18 or 17 other competitor sites, but they're looking at YouTube, Google, Kelley, the OEM sites, etc. How do you really stand out with all of this information that's available? Developing an online hook for these shoppers. If they do see one of your ads, how do you get the attention of this consumer through this maze of information? And then finally, we talked a little bit about the fact that the consumer is willing to drive longer distances. As a matter of fact, I was just at Digital Dealer last week talking about this with a number of dealers, and some of the dealers in some of the areas like Wyoming said, hey, my customers will drive 50 miles to get groceries. My average customer will drive 200 miles. Now, for those of you that are in a heavily populated area, let's say New Jersey or New York City, I had some dealers say, well, that's not relevant, but I had other dealers from, let's say, Jersey City say, look, I just lost a deal to a dealer in a different state over a couple $100. So this is what the stats show, and let's not get hung up on if the consumer will drive 80 miles or 100. The point is things are a lot different today, and it's critical that you leverage your site and opportunities to stand out amongst the masses. So we're going to start with one of three strategies. And the first one is this concept that 50-some% of the people said, hey, I don't know anything about it. And the results are incredible. So we'll start with just an example of what video pre-roll is. Now, hopefully a lot of you are involved in SEM. Think of video pre-roll as video SEM. And this is what it looks like. Somebody's involved in YouTube looking for research, in this case on a specific type of model, a 2000 or 2014 Mazda 6. They select the video pre-roll pops up like this.
Choose John Hine Temecula Mazda and save. We're the #1 dealer in San Diego and Riverside County. Click on the video right now and grab a $200 additional trade-in certificate. Then hurry in and test drive the all-new 2014 Mazda 6 with a lease special for only $219 a month. Click on the video now and grab an additional $200 on your trade, only at John Hine Temecula Mazda, conveniently located on the corner of Inez and DLR in the Temecula Valley Auto Mall. I got mine at Hine. Get yours today.
Now, the customer has the option of clicking off of that video if he doesn't want to see the pre-roll after 5 seconds. There are also some hyperlinks once we have the customer's interest and they click on the links, and we're redirecting the customer actually to the dealer's website. Now we'll spend a little bit more time about this or talking about this, but the key point is that this can be geo-targeted. It can be geo-targeted, let's say with certain zip codes or a city or a DMA or let's say a radius around your store. So imagine the opportunity if you could target, and you're a Mazda dealer or a Toyota dealer, you could target people 25 miles around your store that are doing research on YouTube and having a pre-roll with your specific store. Imagine the impact that you have. You're being very specific. You're geo-targeting those folks based on their behavior. Now, again, we'll come back to that. Some of you may be saying, well, why YouTube? What's the big deal there? Well, YouTube is now the second largest site, only behind their parent Google. So when you look at search engines, YouTube is #2. In terms of video sites, they are the dominant 500-pound gorilla with 4 billion videos being viewed on a daily basis. And the second largest video site, which is interesting to note, is their mobile site. Now, if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, this represents 84.5% of U.S. Internet users. So it's no longer, let's say, 15-year-old boys sitting at home bored watching goofy little videos. YouTube has changed and continues to evolve as a dominant opportunity for retailers. Now, if you haven't been on YouTube for a while, they give you the opportunity to dial into movies, to the latest news, sporting events. There are 100+ channels specifically for celebrities. It's also an opportunity for consumers, those 84.5% of the Internet users, to conduct research for automotive purchases or for gaining information tied to the automotive space. There was a press release recently, as a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, with Eric Schmidt, who is their executive chairman or the executive chairman for Google. And here's some interesting takeaways. He didn't talk about displacing television. Instead, he said that's already taken place. He referenced that TV is not a one-way situation, but that YouTube talks back. What does that mean? Well, as mentioned, you can geo-target specific people that are looking for specific types of products. In our case, automotive. Also interesting to note is that with 18 to 34-year-olds, more people in that age bracket are watching YouTube than any of the cable networks. And I love the last quote. TV means reach. YouTube means engagement. In the very near future, these ads that are coming up will be specific to the prospect or consumer. So a 50-year-old male will see a different video pre-roll than, let's say, a 22-year-old woman who has different interests. Let's say the 50-year-old man or male has shown an interest in football. The video pre-roll in the very near future to promote automotive, let's say your brand, let's say you're a Chevy dealer, those intros will be different than if you're a woman and you have a totally different set of interests. So this is changing advertising. Now, some additional stats coming out of Google as to why every retailer should be involved in this type of initiative. Number one, 30% of the car buyers were prompted to start shopping after seeing an online video ad. 40% of the auto purchasers decided which brand to purchase based on this online video advertising. And finally, 61% of the purchasers visited a dealership. They were influenced as to where they were going to go with the one or two selections after seeing one of these auto videos. Now, when we are setting these up, or when a dealership is setting them up, you can set it up by geography. We touched on that. It can be DMA, city, zip code, etc. You can also pick topical targets. So it could be general automotive. Some of the topical targets would also include broad areas like SUV, microcars, hybrids, etc. And you can get into specific keyword phrases. So, for example, if you're a Volkswagen dealer, you can get involved in Volkswagen Jetta or your specific brands. Or you can target anybody doing searches for new car dealer or buying a new car. By the way, we also have dealers that are getting involved in these same campaigns from a service perspective, so it doesn't have to be limited only to sales. Another exciting opportunity is up in the top right, video remarketing, where with the help of the website company, and DealerOn is supportive of this, we have the ability to retarget or remarket, those are interchangeable terms, everybody that hits your website. So let's say you're the typical store in a decent-sized town and you're getting 5,000 unique visitors to your website. With this code or a piece of or a cookie, we can actually follow those customers so that whenever they hit YouTube, they've expressed interest in actually finding out information about the in the automotive arena, and we can actually queue up video content that's tied to those customers that have hit your website. You have the ability to do the same thing on the YouTube side. So for the vast majority of you that are doing, let's say, a VIN-specific video walk-around, we can put a piece of code and actually track and put a cookie on those customers and actually follow those customers as well. So this creates huge opportunities from multiple perspectives or points of view. Now, again, market. It could be a radius. It could be an entire DMA. We've had dealerships actually pay for this and buy out available inventory for entire states. So the broader you go, the higher the opportunity should be. And just to put this in perspective, and we'll talk in a minute about pricing, the typical campaign that I've seen is about $1,000 for a specific model. These are not $50,000 campaigns. They're fairly small. If a dealership is interested in buying available inventory through the Google AdWords that they're tied into, it may be a $10,000 campaign or a $50,000 campaign. So the reason for that is, let's say that you're interested in just spending $1,000, but you want to cover the entire state of New York. That probably would not get a good return because you're spread out. So part of the discussion is saying, okay, what is important to me? The vast majority of the dealers that I've had interaction with say, look, I want to get folks in my own backyard. I want to, let's say, go 20 miles or 30 miles around my dealership. And with that type of focus with a single model, it creates a huge opportunity, and you can actually do pretty well with that type of investment. Now, we had mentioned this. The whole goal is to take the customer from YouTube to the dealer's website. There are 3 key areas that we can dial in with this type of initiative. YouTube and Google refers to it as in-stream, in-search, and in-display. Think of in-search and in-display as a SEM type of initiative where you only pay if they actually click to watch the video. The in-stream is usually where most of the results are coming, and this is a key point. You're only paying if they watch the entire video or 30 seconds, whichever is less. So if it's a 20-second video pre-roll, they have to watch all of the video before you're paying out of that $1,000 if you've allocated $1,000 for the campaign. In the early days, we would actually have 50-second and 60-second campaigns, and we found that that's a little too long. The goal, again, is to get them to click and take them over to your website. Now, a number of dealers have said, well, what happens if they click on that hyperlink, let's say in the first 5 seconds? Do I have to pay? The answer is no. And this is kind of an interesting twist that Google's allowing. You only pay if they watch the entire video. Well, what happens if they watch 15 seconds? Am I still getting some benefit? The answer would be yes, absolutely. If the video pre-roll is set up, you're still embedding an impression of your dealership's name within, let's say, that 25-mile radius, if that's how the campaign is set up. You're still embedding the name of your dealership, so there are secondary opportunities associated with it. For each $1,000, here's what we're averaging as far as CPM, the cost per 1,000. We're averaging about 130,000 impressions, which works out to a $7 to $12.70 CPM. Now, for those of you that are dialed into this, you may say, well, why the big range? Some dealers, especially those of you that are selling the luxury brands, will want to target not all automotive, but let's say just the luxury area. So if you're a Lexus dealer, you may be focused on conquest, specifically with, let's say, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, etc., and it's going to be a little bit pricier to focus on those, but the lead count and the opportunities are more valuable. The average cost per view for $1,000 is anywhere from 8 cents to 11 cents, and the key metric that most dealers focus on, and something that I zero in on, is what does this cost? I've got a 25-mile radius. How much am I spending to get the customer or the prospect that's conducting research, how much does it cost me to get them to click on my website? The answer is anywhere from an average of $1.10 to $1.40. Now, for those of you involved in SEM, the benchmark tends to be about $2. Keep this in mind or reference this as a comparison with traditional SEM, and what you're adding beyond SEM is obviously the power and the influence of video. Now, here are the results of the first video example that I showed you, Temecula Mazda. They're based in Southern California. They're about halfway between San Diego and Orange County. CPM, $12.15. Cost per view, 7 cents. Cost per click-through to the website, $1.12. For this specific month, they spent $1,200, which is indicated over on the side. Did that result in any sales? Here's the general manager. First month that they ran a campaign, they were averaging 25 Mazda 3s. The focus, the campaign was on Mazda 3s. They jumped it to 45, which placed them in the first place running for all of Mazda 3 sales in the region. These guys are competing with some pretty big heavyweight guys up in the Orange County area. They were delighted. Now, converting landing pages, and this kind of phases or segues into the second opportunity that's available. So a great opportunity is to get those prospects from YouTube over to your home page. But a better opportunity is to actually have them land on a video-rich landing page to tell your story. So if we look at this landing page, and this is a strip of videos across the bottom, there are 4 videos. The first 2 videos will give information about that specific unit, in this case the Cruze. What's the cruise all about? The third video is a testimonial. Somebody that's experienced, let's say, your dealership. I bought 3 cars from this place. I love them. I have all my cars serviced there. The last one should be a why buy here type of video. So think of this strip of video content of Tier 1 meeting Tier 3. Tier 1 being national advertising, something that has an OEM type of feel on your website, meeting Tier 3 or something specific to your operation. Note in this landing page, the dealer also has the opportunity to specifically put whatever your offer is so that everything is there. These are typically embedded with metadata. Some websites are a little bit tougher to work with, so if we don't have the ability, they're framed in, but the opportunity is to drive conversion. And as mentioned, because they're iframed in or they're embedded in, you have the ability, because it's on the website, to have the lead forms, the contact, etc. Now, here's an example of putting all of this together. Lindsay is a dealership in the DC market, a hugely competitive space when it comes to digital. As mentioned, you have the ability to zero in on specific brand or general automotive. So in this case, the consumer is trying to do research on fuel-efficient types of cars. They're specifically zeroing in on that. That was one of the areas that this dealer was bidding on. They selected the appropriate video. Here's the pre-roll.
Discover the new 2013 Chevy Cruze with great lease and financing rates at Lindsay Chevrolet. Click on this video at any time to get more information on these fantastic offers on the hot 2013 Cruze, starting at $13,724. Click on the video right now and discover exceptional savings. And remember, you'll love it at Lindsay.
So there are a couple hooks in there. I'm a consumer. I click and I go to one of these landing pages.
The Chevrolet Cruze, for the journey, the destination, and everything in between. Cruze redefines everything a compact car should be with one simple word: more. More efficiency, more safety, more features. And right now, more savings. Check out the special offers on this page and drive one today. You want a car that makes the most out of every dollar you put in the gas tank without sacrificing performance and handling. To get those results, you need to have a pretty impressive engine, and Cruze absolutely does. The available 1.4-liter turbocharged engine is designed for fuel efficiency without compromising performance. It delivers 138 horsepower with 148 pound-feet of torque and accelerates with authority. The interior of the Cruze is cavernous and elegant. Cruze offers the latest in mobile technology, like the available Chevrolet MyLink radio with 7-inch diagonal color touchscreen, and the latest in safety features like available rear cross traffic alert. An infotainment system puts the world at your fingertips and keeps you protected and in touch with the help of OnStar. We've equipped the Cruze with numerous safety features, including the StabiliTrak electronic stability control system with traction control. Cruze helps protect you and your passengers with 10 standard airbags. The journey begins with the 2013 Chevrolet Cruze.
I love my salesperson. They seem to know exactly what I needed, and that's why I'll keep coming back to my dealership.
You'll love it at Lindsay. We're customer-driven and one of the nation's largest Chevrolet dealers. Great prices, great service, great selection. Call, click, or stop in today. We're conveniently located at 15605 Jefferson Davis Highway in Woodbridge, Virginia.
So again, what we're trying to do with this is to tell a story to differentiate your Chevy store or your Lexus or BMW dealership from the other 5 BMW dealers if you're in a fairly competitive market, or the dealers in the area, and to really give a compelling reason as to why they should be zeroed in on that specific product and your specific store.
Now
Lindsay,
did those 4 segment videos, did they automatically play, or were you clicking on them?
No, they automatically play, and that's a great question. So you have the opportunity to actually navigate as a customer, so you can click past it if you want to and advance it. So great question. We queue it up. Some dealers are a little more conservative, and it will actually mute it rather than automatically having the voice. So see the action they'll see a call to action where you have to click on it, but that's a very good question. Usually we recommend when they hit that page, have the videos play with the sound. Okay?
And Rocky wrote in, he wanted to know what the keyword search was that got you there.
Fuel efficient cars was the keyword phrase that actually took them to that video pre-roll.
Gotcha. Okay. This is very, very interesting stuff. And so you would do one of those for every model, or you would do it just
absolutely, or key models. Yeah, typically what dealers will do is they'll identify 2 or 3 of their hottest models, and in a couple slides you'll see dealers have the opportunity to direct not just their video SEM, but their SEM traffic to these pages as well.
Oh, and David wrote in with a great question about that model landing page. Can you do them in Spanish too?
That's a good question. Not today, but that's coming because we have a number of dealers throughout Miami, Southern or Texas, and California requesting that.
Yeah,
yes, that is something that absolutely needs to take place. Great question.
Okay, sorry, I know you're on a roll. Let's keep going. What are you going to show us here?
All right, so same thing here with Lindsay. They had a couple campaigns, both a car as well as the Silverado. So here are the results for the Silverado for, let's say, the same month. $12.31 CPM, 8 cents cost per view, cost per click-through to the website, $1.11. Now, here's the general manager for the store that you saw the example of the Cruze, and then the metrics from the Silverado. So the Silverado actually only ran for 20 days. So for 20 days we spent $500. They had 43,000 impressions. 10% of those people watched all of the video, and that's a good metric. 8 to, let's say, 13% of the people will watch all of it. And it depends on whether or not the video is compelling and well done. 323 people clicked over to the website. There were 43 form submissions and 23 calls on this specific campaign. And everybody take note, best month on record for Silverado sales. And I love the quote that Paul gave us. We started seeing results immediately. We couldn't have generated that kind of volume for $10,000 with radio. So he also referenced that the budget for this, he had $1,000 allocated for Silverado, $1,000 for the Cruze. And the guy was obviously thrilled. Now, think of, and a lot of you I know are involved in SEM. So here's just a random case study, and this is pretty much what we see all over the country. Let's say that you're doing a search for Toyota in Las Vegas. Here are 3 pretty big names in the Vegas area. Finley, Fletcher Jones, and Desert Toyota, which is owned by AutoNation. So here are 3 opportunities. If I first of all click on the pay-per-click on Desert, I'm taken and directed to their homepage. Okay, that's fine. If I click on Fletcher Jones, I think a little bit better, I'm directed directly into the inventory for that specific unit. Finley is directing us to one of these high engagement landing pages with video-rich content, the experience to separate the experience from, let's say, their competition with the offers, etc. As a matter of fact, if you go to finleytoyota.com, they have a scroller or a scrolling piece with all the latest offers. Again, if you click on any of those offers, you're redirected to one of these high engagement landing pages. Now, what happens when that takes place? This dealer is involved in some of the other video opportunities that we're going to be moving into right after this. Examples would be new model content without offers, monthly sales specials, content related to the service side. And so they get an overview as to how many people are watching this video content that's linked to YouTube so that it's found organically. Video content, in this case, that is pushed over to Cars.com, that's obviously the VIN-specific content, as well as how many people are watching my videos online. And this is pretty typical. 583 people before the model video landing pages and before the effort of linking video SEM to these pages. They were getting 583 people watching this video content. Here's what happened once they started redirecting some of this traffic to one of these, or to some of these model video landing pages. And by the way, this ties in with your question. They have model video landing pages for all their models. 5,977, so it's up tenfold. Now, what's the relevance of that? We know from years ago, and most of the web companies will validate this. So for those of you that are participating, just ask your web company the following question, or validate the following statement. If we can improve time on site, we can improve your conversion rate. As a matter of fact, the average store, when I get involved in dialogue or a discussion, the average website stickiness or time on site is, let's say, 1 to maybe 3 minutes. If you had a nice video overview or video strategy on your website, that time on site will go up. As long as the video looks professional. You don't have to have, let's say, Steven Spielberg producing this content, but if you have a strategy beyond just the VIN-specific walkarounds, your time on site will go up, which leads to a higher conversion rate. And just so that we're all on the same page, and this will be a little bit different than my friends Amir and Ali are preaching, their conversion rate is focused on typically looking at just website traffic, email leads only. As a matter of fact, here, I'm off a slide. Let me get back. Yeah. So this is how we're defining conversion. Phone ups and email leads, and what we see is typically 3 to 7%. Now, with Ali and Amir, they're talking specifically about email leads, and it's going to be obviously a smaller metric. But if you can improve your time on site, regardless of what your closing rate is, you have the opportunity to actually do a much better job of driving this middle ground. And the end result is you can close more deals. So here's a case study, Jim Ellis. They've been adding or involved in video for 7 years. For those of you that do not know the Jim Ellis name, they have a group of stores in Atlanta. They're recognized each year by Ward's Automotive as being in the top 5. The gentleman that runs it, the e-commerce, as the director, is Wayne Usry. So you can see before and after video. So they have primarily Volkswagen and Audi stores. They have a Chevy store and a Mazda store. So if we focus on the group, the average time for the group before video was 5 minutes, 42 seconds. After was 7 minutes and 6 seconds. For the group, website conversion went from 972, which is unbelievable, to 11.44. They were selling 475 cars a month out of their internet team. Now they're selling 630. Now, again, keep in mind, these folks are selling Audis and Volkswagens. That represents about 52 to 53% of all of their retail sales. Mr. Ellis is delighted with both Wayne as well as some of these video strategies. Now I'm going to bounce back a little bit, and we're going to segue into what this next strategy should be, driving website conversion. So what are some of the things that you can actually add as a dealer? For those of you that do not have VIN-specific video walkarounds, regardless if you do it on your own or if you go through your web company or a company like ours, get a video strategy. And make sure that you have intros and outros to brand your dealership, because those are linked to YouTube, and it will absolutely help you beyond just your own website. It will help you in driving organic search results because the videos rank much higher. Now, beyond that, create a video monthly sales special and link that to your website. There are some videos that are called service educational videos that are brand specific, that are zeroed in on key areas like brakes or transmission, etc., and have that video content. So the difference between, let's say, the service or sales special and the educational video is intended to give customers some additional information as to why you as a dealer would be a better fit than, let's say, one of the independents. The model video landing pages, we talked about that. New model video content, I showed you some examples of how you can add specific content on these landing pages. You should also have something that displays all the new models. Now, I've had some dealers say, well, they can go to the Chevy site or the OEM site to find that. Well, we don't want them to go there. We want to retain that customer and keep them dialed in. And then a concept that's called a homepage player to make it easier to navigate and find all of this content in an easy-to-navigate type of manner. Now, you can also get involved in testimonial videos or how-to videos. But people will watch this video content. And why buy here videos? We showed you an example of that. And the whole purpose is to, again, drive that time on site. Something else that I would recommend is to have a tool where you can send either virtual test drives or conduct video email campaigns. So, for example, if you have produced a monthly sales special or a monthly service special, email that and link that into your newsletter, and you'll be, I think, impressed with the results. We're getting unbelievable feedback from CRM companies that study this as far as the impact that video makes by simply linking in the video overview. If you don't have the tool that I'm about to show you, at the minimum, link in the YouTube link or have the YouTube link. So, for example, if you have a portal like this where you have all the video, you're an internet director or internet sales manager, rather than just sending a response that looks like everybody else, copy and paste that link into your CRM response with a banner. So here we're copying it, we're pasting it in. This is the templated response. It's very easy for the customer to see, okay, in a second. This is what they see. Click for video. They click on the video. It's a redirect either to the YouTube page or YouTube link that you've added, or
family-owned Jim Ellis Automotive, we take the low keep.
Or to a landing page that actually hosts that specific video. So it starts off with some type of an intro, and then it segues into
with a CD player, alloy wheel,
the specific unit of interest. And again, you can do the same thing with video email campaigns. Here's an example of a new model lineup. So again, this is a strip of all of the various models. It starts off with a Why Buy Here video. If you don't know the Mile One Group, they've been involved with video for 6 or 7 years. They have 60 stores. This is a strip of, you can sort it by cars, SUVs, etc.
Locations on Bel Air Road in Bel Air, Roysterstown Road in Owings Mills, and York Road in Townsend. We're sure to have the perfect vehicle for you.
So I want to select a specific unit to look at.
All Automotive's no-string guarantee provides lifetime Virginia State inspections, oil change certificate, 10% off service discounts, and more. The sweeping aerodynamic form of the Mazda CX-9 immediately separates it from the boxy crossover.
And I'll mute it. And then you have an overview of the unit itself. Now, I've actually chatted with some dealerships where they're creating some of this content at the store level. Great. That's one option, or get with a company that has the ability to provide this type of content. I mentioned homepage players, and for the most part, any of the sites, there are a couple restrictions from some of the OEMs. For example, Lexus will allow you to have content not on the homepage, but you can certainly drill in and have video content displayed. But here's an example. If you go to o'hairehonda.com, when you hit their website, you'll notice now on this it's muted. You unmute it, and they have the Tier 1 spot.
No crying.
Now, this is a little bit different. I'd mentioned on the landing pages where it's an opt-in with video SEM or SEM to have the videos play. I would not do that on a homepage player because you don't want to irritate people. But this dealer has a number of different categories. It's easy to navigate. So we have the Tier 1 spot, we have specials, we have the Honda models, and then you have the ability to actually click on one of these service videos. So again, you can navigate. There are 13 of the service-related videos. You select it and get something like this.
Cars have become an essential part of our on-the-go lifestyle. Whether you're speeding through your day or driving down the road, it's important to slow down and stop every once in a while. That's where brakes come in. They're one of the most vital features on your car. When you go in for a brake inspection, a technician examines a number of things.
Now, here's a very successful group. If anybody was at a digital dealer, you may recognize the name Kevin Fry, and Kevin's pretty well known in the e-commerce circles. Here's one of his sites. Again, you have various options. He likes to include testimonials.
I recommend Jeff Weiler because I feel like they have my best interest at heart. I feel like they were fair and honest to deal with, and it's a place that I would send my mother back.
Now, the reason that home page players are really getting a lot of traction is it separates your website from the other websites of the dealers down the road. So if you're a Toyota dealer, it separates your site from the Honda guy right next door. You have the ability to add that personal touch. Customers talking about the experience, how-to videos, your monthly sales specials, etc. The last key component, so we've talked about video pre-roll. The second area that we focused on was adding an overview where you can add video to the website itself. The third area is the concept that we call VSEO and ABSEO. So everybody on the call, I'm sure, has an SEO strategy. At the minimum, you're working on your SEO through your web provider. The next component is VSEO. VSEO, or Video Search Engine Optimization, is simply publishing that content to a YouTube site so that your video content will come up if somebody's conducting a search on Google. And Google owns YouTube as shared, and I'm sure everybody is aware of that. They place a higher value on that opportunity. Now, the next step would be publishing video content beyond YouTube to sites like Metacafe, Vimeo, Vidler, etc. ABSEO, or Accelerated Video Search Engine Optimization, is taking content to the next level. Now, I would not recommend doing this with bin-specific walkarounds because you're turning your inventory every 30 or 45 days. The content that's being published to these additional sites should be longer lasting. So examples would be service educational videos or new model specific video content where it's up there for the entire year. So here's an example. Somebody's conducting a search in your backyard. Let's say you're an Audi dealer in Atlanta, conducting a search for an Audi A8. The videos are going to come up on page 1 at a 52% more likely rank. So the videos are 52 times more likely to appear on page 1 than text. So when they click on the video, we're not going to trick them and just have a dealer-specific overview. We're going to have something that brands the dealership, though, and then we have a production piece on that specific car.
Technology, performance, and luxury. Under the hood, a 4.2 FSI V8 engine.
Now, here's some random searches that you guys can do on your own. And I actually just did these screen captures yesterday. So 2013 Cadillac STS Boston, pretty competitive market. We're in the organic, so this is pay-per-clicker, the sponsored sites. So here's organic. This is key. For the same dealer, organic positions 1 and 2. Here is brakes. Now, it's getting more and more competitive on the sales side than on the service side. So Cadillac Brakes Boston. And by the way, this is all general searches. I've had some people say, well, were you just looking for video? The answer is no. This is all searches. Again, Boston, positions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Here is Cadillac AC Boston, positions 1, 2, and 3. Now, why would a dealer be focused on this? And is a consumer going to watch all 3 of the videos in this case? No. We don't care if they watch all 3. We want them to get the branding for the dealership and see the name of the store, Cadillac of Norwood, Cadillac of Norwood. And to get the perception, this must be the place that I should go. It also, quite frankly, will push some of the independents down the page or off of page 1. Reporting. You should be working with a company that can provide specific data on all of this reporting or all of this video activity. So here's a report for one of the Jim Ellis stores. You can see the number of videos for the various areas, and it also will show you specifically where these videos are being found. If it's in the on the organic side through Cars.com, AutoTrader, etc., you should also be able to see the results of every one of the videos being posted. So for this dealership, they have 83 used cars, and you can find out what is going on from a digital perspective. So we have some used car managers that love this because they want to keep their finger on the pulse as to where what most of their cars are getting or the activity organically. So you can do that by zeroing in specifically on YouTube. You can see that here's a Volkswagen getting 6 views, followed by a BMW, etc. Now, the AVSEO reporting looks something like this, where, again, you get the number of click-throughs, which we think is critical. So some of it is a ranking. So, again, there are 10 spots organically. This gives a report card for the dealers. You can see that this dealer has selected a couple specific cities that they're targeting. And we also want to have an idea as to, well, how many people are actually watching and clicking on this video content. So it's a quick overview. Now, we covered a lot of data really quickly. But again, the 3 key areas, having a video strategy for pre-roll. And I led with that because we've been involved with it since last summer, kind of testing it. We got heavily involved with it starting about, let's say, 4 months ago. It is red hot. The second area has been out there for, let's say, 8 years or so, but more and more dealers are saying, hey, I really want a video strategy. The third area, video SEO or AVSEO, would be the third key area that is part of building a video strategy. So with that, let's open it up for any questions that you guys have.
Can I just tell you, Phil, that was a lot of information, and we have so many great questions from the audience. And I have been holding on to these questions for a while because they've just been pouring in. So we're going to get to your questions right away, but we have a little bit of business to take care of. Right, Phil?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So if you were here at the very, very top of the show, then you heard me announce that our good friends at UnityWorks Media are giving away a fantastic prize today on this webinar. So one of you lucky attendees is going to be winning a great prize for your dealership. There's no other way around it. Now that we've seen this presentation, now we know how valuable this prize is. It goes far more valuable than the $1,150 price tag that's on it, but you're going to win a model video landing page for 6 months on one model and a dealership video. How cool is that? So, like I said, this prize is valued at $1,150, but all you have to do is answer a question, a very simple question, about the presentation you just saw. So get in front of your keyboards and get ready. It's a very, very quick question. I expect that this one's going to go very, very fast. I want to wish everyone the best of luck. This is a great, great prize. So good luck, everyone. Here is the question. How many video segments are on a model video landing page? And we have a winner. I knew it was going to go fast. That was so quick. Boy, we had a lot of people who wrote in really, really fast. Some of you out there are very, very quick with your fingers. Our winner is David Sharp, and the correct answer, of course, was 4. And thank you so much, everyone, for playing along. David, write to us and let us know what dealership you're from so we can say a proper hello to you. And, of course, along with congratulations to David, we want to, of course, thank UnityWorks Media for their incredible generosity. That was a really, really great prize. And, David, I'm looking forward to hearing how your dealership at Elliott Chrysler Dodge Jeep in Mount Pleasant, Texas, does with this great, great prize. So thank you so much for that, David. And let's go on to some questions. Phil, are you ready?
Absolutely.
Okay. Some of these questions are tough, I'm not going to lie. Okay, this one came in super, super early in the show. This one comes from Clay. And Clay wrote in, he said, regarding video SEO, can you discuss best practices regarding URLs?
Okay, so in terms of linking it, I think the question is, how do you get the best results with video SEO, which is not AVSEO, so video SEO?
Well, they want to, they want to know, how do you pick the best URLs? You know, how do you pick that great domain name to go with the video? I mean, is there a best practice that you can recommend?
Well, for the used inventory, you know, quite frankly, it's year, make, model, city are the key areas that we actually tag it with rather than a URL. So in terms of setting up the model video landing pages, we assign a URL for that. But in terms of tagging for video SEO, it's more of setting up a channel with specific key terms that would be appropriate when the Google spiders are trying to find that relevant content. So for a new model, same thing. Make, model, year of that specific area, and we like to geo-target it so that we're not getting inquiries from, let's say, 5 states over. Now, in terms of setting up a URL, with the way that we typically focus on, for sure with video SEO, that's how we're setting it up. With AV SEO, that's slightly different, but again, we're publishing that content and we're tagging it with whatever the key features are for that specific unit. And if that doesn't answer it, Clay can call me and we can talk through it a little bit more.
Okay, Clay, I hope that does help you out, but that's why we have Phil's direct contact information up here. So if you have a specific question, specific to your dealership that you'd like some help with, Phil's ready to help you. I mean, he's Mr. Video. Who else are you going to go to, right? Okay, next question comes to us from Taylor. And Taylor wrote in, this is about a slide that was early on in your presentation, Phil. Do you recall the slide that had the 3 different statistics on it? I don't know if you can go back to it. Taylor wanted to know if you could repeat the 3rd stat from the slide. I think she was copying them down, and you just went a little bit too quick for us.
No, that's fine. And the source of this is actually Google.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
And one more thing on the on Clay's point, just as a best practice, we like to have in the tag 2 cities. So, for example, let's say we've got a dealer in Minneapolis, which is where I live. We try to, for the major tags, have Minneapolis, St. Paul. There's a character count limit. You can have secondary searches as well. But on tagging it, it's really important that you try to fit 2 cities in. So if you ever see any of our VIN-specific videos, you actually note that. So, all right.
Okay, so Taylor, I hope this helps you out. That was 61% of auto purchasers visited a dealership after viewing an auto ad. Okay, so thank you so much for that question, Taylor. Next question comes to us from James, and he wrote, and this was about the, again, these came in all during your presentation, so I'm trying to remember exactly when this came in, but James wrote, what about the ads part of the video? If the person clicks skip ad, what happens?
You don't spend it. You only spend, let's say,
dealership doesn't pay anything extra for that, right?
That's right. So let's say it's a $1,000 ad spend, and they skip it. They don't watch, let's say that it's the 5 seconds, and then they opt out. You do not pay anything. You only pay if they watch the entire video, and let's say it's a 20-second pre-roll. And don't think, for those of you that are dialed into thinking it has to be 15 seconds or 30 seconds, you know, this is the internet. You can do whatever you want. A lot of our video pre-rolls are, let's say, 18 seconds or 20 seconds. So it should be compelling, and there should be some hooks in the first 5 seconds, and hopefully everybody saw some of those hooks. And it should be easy to see that you want them to take action. That's why we have those overlays. Click now. So if somebody clicks in the first 5 seconds and over to the dealer site, again, you don't pay for that. The only ad spend that you're spending is if they watch all of the video or 30 seconds, whichever is less. So if it's a 50-second pre-roll spot that you're running, if they watch 30 seconds, if the consumer does, then that comes out of your $1,000. And I didn't really get into this, but I'll share this because I think this is important for those of you that are trying to work through this. We look at it as, let's say, 3 buckets, if you would, for most of the dealerships. One bucket could be, let's say, general automotive. Another bucket could be your brand, so you're a Toyota dealer. The third bucket would be conquest, so zeroing in on Honda, Mazda, Nissan, etc. And we run campaigns based on a blend of all of that. Now, some dealers have said, hey, I'm only focused on my brand, That's where I want to allocate the percentage of the spend. And conquest. Other dealers have said, hey, I'm the biggest guy in my town. I don't care about that. I want to focus just on conquest. As a matter of fact, you can drill down. Let's say it's truck month in Texas. We had a dealer in Dallas that's a pretty prominent guy say, I want to zero in on people looking at truck-related content. So you can be as specific as you want. But the key point, and I'm glad the person actually called for or submitted this for clarification. You only pay if they watch all of the video or 30 seconds, whichever is less.
Ah, okay, good. Thank you so much. And by the way, again, that question came to us from James. So thank you very much,
okay,
James.
Thanks, James.
I hope that answered your question. Okay, next question came to us from Jerry, and this was about the slide that you had from the Ellis dealership that showed the general manager saying how well the video worked out for him on his video campaign. It had only lasted, I don't know how much. Do you remember that slide? Can you go back to that?
Yeah, it was on Lindsay. Ellis was talking about conversion, so let's see.
No. I'm pretty sure it was Ellis.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't this one. It was Ellis.
Okay, hang on. This one.
This one. Okay. His question was, what was the time frame before and after that got him, you know, the higher up conversion and the number of units being sold, you know, going up by that much? What was the before and after time frame? How long did this take? Was this like over a month, or was this like a year? What was this?
No, and that's a good question. So it's a 7-year period. And so some of you may say, well, hey, come on. Did they do anything else? Yes, they're a very progressive store because these guys are rated one of the best in the whole country. But if you talk to Wayne or send him an email or a text, he'll say that video is a cornerstone, and one of the puzzle pieces is the term that he likes to use. As a matter of fact, Wayne has sat in on 3 or 4 of my panel discussions of the best of the best. And a term that he used over and over and over, he looks at the internet as being a puzzle. Video is one of the key pieces to make sure you have a successful operation.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jerry. If that doesn't answer your question, you have a follow-up question, you know you're more than welcome to write in.
Yeah, but good point, Jerry.
Thank you very much for that. And then we had a question from David. He said that earlier in your presentation you used the term Tier 1 when referring to, could you explain what is Tier 1?
Yeah, think of Tier 1 as being, if you're a Toyota dealer, those are the national spots. So Tier 1 would be the higher up the sales funnel. That would be what the manufacturers or the OEMs are actually spending to promote whatever the campaigns are for that specific month. So it's Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. Tier 3 is what the dealer is spending out of his own pocket, let's say $20,000, $50,000, $80,000 a month individually. Tier 1 is really what the OEM is spending. And so when I said think of Tier 1 meeting Tier 3, a Tier 1 type of spot would be branding that specific unit to get the intention or to get the interest of prospects or people that are in the game. They're interested in looking at a unit, especially for, let's say, new launches. And so that Tier 1 type of opportunity, or having something that brands or really showcases the unit, is a great way to identify that type, or to marry up, if you would, Tier 1 and Tier 3.
Gotcha. Hope that helps you out, David. Okay, I know that we're past the top of the hour, but we have so many great questions from the audience. Phil, if you're going to hang with us a little bit longer, I would like to get to some more of these really wonderful questions.
Hey, absolutely.
Ah, fantastic. Okay, so next question. It's a good one. This one comes from Helene, and she says, question about having video on your website. I've heard that having a video player like the one that you showed in your example, doesn't do nearly as much for SEO as embedding YouTube videos. Could you explain or maybe clarify?
No, and I'll say yes, that's true. So if you have a player, the primary focus, from my perspective, the reason a dealer would have a player is to drive stickiness, which leads to time on site. So to have, let's say, video in a YouTube channel is going to be a different focus. And to have AVSEO, or the accelerated video search, again, would be driving people. So it's either YouTube, or whether it's YouTube, which is VSEO, or the AVSEO, the primary focus is to drive those people that are conducting searches and organically grab them. Same thing with the video pre-roll. It's to grab them, to direct them to the website. The purpose of having a player, the primary reason to do that, is to give your dealership an opportunity to separate yourself from the masses. I think it's been a huge mistake for, let's say, some of the OEMs to mandate that everything needs to be exactly the same, because it doesn't give the dealer a chance to really showcase why somebody should come to their specific store. If you have permission, and as I'd mentioned, there are a couple OEMs that would not allow this, but if you have the opportunity to have video content, that would be Tier 1, and an example of a Tier 1 spot would be that piece that we showed on O'Hare. So they're leveraging the fact that Honda spent a fortune producing that, and they have it play automatically on the site. But if you drill in, just like Kevin does with these testimonials, it gives the consumer a chance to see who the person is behind the building. So I agree with what the question kind of led to, that, hey, you're not really going to get the lift. Well, that's not the point. You get, let's say, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 unique visitors to your site. What stands out? And if you have a story to tell, which would include testimonials or a why buy here type of video, have that broadcast or have that showcase where it's easy for the consumer to find it. Because if you buy the one stat that I opened with, which is that the average consumer is hitting 1.2 dealerships, you'd better have something on your homepage that really differentiates your dealership from everybody else.
Oh, you definitely hit a nerve there. We got people writing in, great answer, amen, and even Joe wrote in, it's like, sometimes the OEMs don't care who sells the cars, they just want the cars sold. But, that's...
I love that. Absolutely. They don't, as long as they're hitting their numbers, but to the GM, and I'm a former GM, you're under pressure to hit certain numbers. And, hey, if you're a Honda dealer and the whole city's going great, ultimately you want to make sure you're hitting your numbers.
Right. I guess that's, I guess sometimes your biggest competitor isn't a guy who sells a different car. Sometimes it's the guy who sells the same cars as you. So,
Absolutely.
Okay, Helene, great question. She actually had a follow-up question too, and she said, most of us probably know what VSEO is. The question is, how can we do it correctly and effectively? And Helene, before he answers, I'm just going to say, that sounds like a whole nother webinar. You could probably do another hour on that, huh?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Helene, I want you to call me, and I'll set you up with folks that do this every day of their life. And every once in a while with our accounts, we'll have an internet director that says, hey, I think I can do a better job of setting it up. And so we'll go back and forth, and we'll do some A/B testing, if you would, to see, okay, hey, let's test this with these specific, or test it with what the suggestions are from the internet director, and we'll test it with some of the tags that we're doing, and we'll actually showcase and have it. So that's a session all by itself. So I want you to call me, and I'll set you up with the folks that do that every day of their life.
You know what? Let's do that. Phil, let's go to your contact page right now so that her and anyone else who wants to contact you directly certainly has that information available. Okay, so Helene, thank you for the great questions. Awesome, and I hope you find the answers you're looking for. And Randy has an interesting question. He says, our market is Boston, and we want to do this. Norwood is our competitor. So he also wrote in, if we do not spend the whole $1,000, I believe he was talking about the
video, video pre-roll, right.
Right. He wants to know if we don't spend the whole $1,000, if that's our budget for a month, will it roll over to the next month?
No, it doesn't roll over, but we only spend whatever's been allocated for that month. So, again,
Boston's a pretty
Randy,
big market, so...
No, there's plenty of opportunity in Boston. And so, Randy, just call me, and I'll go through all the specifics and details with you. So, usually what we do is we allocate, let's say, a certain spend. If we don't spend the money, we don't keep it. So, just call me, and we'll go through the details.
Okay, last handful of questions here. Kevin had a great question. He says, what's the average money spent on pre-rolls if you have a 4-top dealership? Let's say this. What would you recommend, Phil? Does it depend on
Yeah, it depends a little bit on the size of the city. So if it's a typical, let's say, $1 million, $3 million, in that range town, $1,000 is going to be great. Now, I just met with some dealers that have a group of stores in Oklahoma, and they have, I think, 8 or 9 stores they're doing it with all their stores. And again, what we're allocating is $1,000 for 2 of their hottest models, so each. So if it's, let's say, a Ford store, F-150 for sure. And then whatever, let's say the Fusion is another hot one that a lot of the Ford guys are going after. So you could allocate $1,000 for the F-150, $1,000 for the Fusion, and for most cities, that's going to be a great opportunity. Even in the real big towns, you just could tie in the radius a little bit tighter to the store, and $1,000 would be great. So, you know, you can allocate a couple $1,000s, select a couple models, and you're off to the races.
Gotcha. Kevin, I hope that helped you out, and certainly would you say that the model of car makes a difference too? I mean, does it matter if you're selling Audis as opposed to...
No, I'm glad you asked that, because I've noticed some pre-roll where it doesn't have anything to do with a campaign. There isn't really a hook. And so I would absolutely zero in on units that you know are popular and you have inventory. So if you only have one and it's hot, don't run a campaign, obviously, on that. Focus on your bread and butter cars. So for Ford, as mentioned, it's F-150 and Fusion. For Honda, it's almost always Camry, and they've got a great deal on Corolla, so that could be a good one. Oh, I'm sorry, for Toyota, Camry and Corolla. For Honda, it's the Accord and Civic. So pick your the units that are your bread and butter units where you've got inventory and have some type of a hook, some type of an offer.
Gotcha. Okay, great answer. Thank you so much, Phil. Now, James, you have been very patient, James, and I am now finally getting to your question. So James wrote in, are we able to make the pre-roll ad ourselves with the video and upload to YouTube on our own dealership YouTube channel?
Yes. So just use the Google AdWords and follow the, and this is pre-recorded, as mentioned, so just follow the key steps, and absolutely you can manage it on your own. If you're managing SEM, this is just a little bit tougher because you need to have video, but it's very similar and follows the same steps.
James, good luck with that. I'd like to see how that turns out. Okay, last question for you, Phil. It's a twofer, and this comes from our friend David, and he says, thank you for answering what Tier 1 is. What would Tier 2 be? And is there a video player that you can recommend?
All right, so that's an interesting question. Tier 2 would be, let's say you're a Ford dealer or a Honda dealer. Usually all of the dealers participate with such or a certain amount for every car that they sell that goes into a pool. It's directed by, let's say, the OEM, but they come together and form an association. So like the Fordland Association or Fordland group of dealers, usually there's an umbrella, and typically those Tier 2 dollars have been focused on TV. Now what's interesting, we're working with some agencies, and there's a stat that I didn't share, but if you allocate 10%, you're involved in TV, if you allocate 10% of your ad spend from TV to online video, you'll increase your reach and effectiveness by quite a bit. So there are Tier 2 campaigns now that we've been involved in where the dealers have voted, once the agency approaches them, to actually add video pre-roll as a component. So we ran some campaigns, for example, in Florida with a group of Honda guys with Omni, and the success was really, really strong. We're doing some other campaigns with another group that I can't mention, actually, one of the domestics. And so the reason that if you're involved in Tier 2, and there's always somebody that heads up that association, in a lot of cases it's whoever the biggest guy is in that community, some of these dollars could be allocated because we've done it with a number of different brands in different parts of the country getting the same results. We typically will direct them to a microsite where all the dealers are sitting there, and then you select the dealer. But rather than just spending the money on TV only, network TV, allocate 10% or a small percentage of that budget, and you'll see an increase in both reach and effectiveness. So the Tier 2 is all the dealers kind of kick in, and there's some parameters that they have to stay within, but it's branding the name of whoever the OEM is, Ford, Honda, Toyota.
Right, right. Okay, and the second part of the question was, is there a video player that you can recommend?
Well, actually, yes, we have a video player. If you call me, we actually happen to do that. We have video players that we can help you with.
Ah, well, there you have it. Well, Phil, I have to tell you, I am exhausted. Mr. Video, I had no idea you were going to be throwing this much information, and great information. Thank you so much for doing this webinar. I do have one last question for you. If you are ever interested in doing another one with me, would you consider it?
Anytime.
I love it.
You by far, you are my favorite webinar moderator. You're my
I bet you say that to all the webinar moderators, don't you?
Not so.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Mr. Video. I loved spending this hour and, I think we went over a little bit, hour and 25 minutes with you. And certainly, audience, if you have more questions for Phil, he is very, very generous with his time and his information. He'd love to hear from you. So please do that. Fantastic presentation, Phil. Thank you so much. And
hey, thank you so much, Eliana.
Thank you. Any questions that weren't answered during the time allotted, well, guess what? Phil's going to answer them directly by email later today. And, of course, I want to remind the audience, a link to download a copy of this webinar recording is also going to be emailed to you later today for your reference. Please share it with your friends and colleagues. This is great stuff. And today's webinar is also going to be posted online within 24 hours. All you got to do is go to dealeron.com/webinars, and from there you can view our upcoming webinar schedule or access any of our past webinars too. And hey, at the conclusion of this webinar in another minute, you're going to receive a short survey. Fill it out. We want to know what you thought about Phil's webinar today. Give us some great feedback. We really appreciate it. And we're going to randomly select a couple of people from all those completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. You can't win it unless you fill out the survey, though. So I hope we hear from a lot of you. And invitations are going to be going out tomorrow for our next webinar. How to double your sales in half the time. Seriously, with the legendary Jim Ziegler. Oh, you heard me right. Jim Ziegler, he's going to be here next week, and he's going to be discussing sales, prospecting, customer follow-up, and all kinds of stuff. And he's going to share word tracks, techniques, organizational strategies that have earned him the title, the One-Man BDC. Now, this alpha dog is going to discuss organization, priorities, personal productivity, leveraging relationships, social media interaction, CRM techniques. Oh my gosh, so much stuff. So no matter what position you hold at the dealership, this presentation is going to dramatically affect your sales and profits, period. So if you're ready to double your sales in half the time, then spend an hour with the one and only Jim Ziegler at his best. It's going to be another fabulous presentation by your friends at DealerOn. And don't forget, DealerOn's weekly webinars are held every Thursday, 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. We got some great webinar subjects planned for this year, and if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding these webinars and our topics, please track me down, email me, call me. However, smoke signals sometimes work as well. Again, it's Eliana@dealeron.com. I'm also on all of the automotive social networks. You can find me there too. And I want to thank you so much for spending this time with us today, and we hope to see you all on a future webinar in our continuing education series. Have yourselves a good one.